We are now on to question 2 of differentiation, and this is what we have. P of x is equal to, we've got a bracket that's squared, and inside our bracket we have 1 over x cubed plus 4x. So I've included the order of our simplification on the right hand side. I've explained this in the first video, so in the previous video. Just to remind you, your given equation needs to be simplified before you can differentiate. So this is the order that we work in. So the first thing we look for is brackets. And we notice that we do have brackets, so we need to simplify this bracket so that we can get rid of the brackets. Now what we notice here is that we have a binomial squared. We know that a binomial squared will result in a trinomial. So to get the first term, we square the first term, which would be 1 over x to the power 6. And if you're a little unsure as to how I got that, let's look at it separately. 1 over x cubed times 1 over x cubed. If you multiply the numerators, 1 times 1 gives you 1. If you multiply the denominators, you are multiplying bases that are the same, so you will add the exponents. 3 plus 3 gives you 6. So that is how we end up with 1 over x to the power 6. Next, to get the middle term, we multiply both terms together and we times by 2. So let me show you that separately. We're going to multiply both terms together and times by 2. Firstly, multiplying all of the coefficients, we've got 1 times 4 times 2, which is going to be 8. Basically, this is what we have in the numerator, 8x over x cubed. This will simplify to 8 over x squared. Remember, the x from the top can cancel out with one of the x's from the bottom. So this gives us plus 8 over x squared. And then to get the third term, we square the second term. So 4x times 4x is going to be 16x squared. So that was quite straightforward. Now, just to remind you again, when we have a binomial squared, it always results in a trinomial. So since you're in grade 12, they aren't really expecting you to write out the bracket twice and use the FOIL method, although you can. If you feel this is a little confusing, you are most welcome to write out your bracket twice and FOIL those brackets. Okay, so we have successfully completed the first step. We've got rid of the brackets. Then we check for surds. We do not have any surds in this equation. We can go on to the next step, variables in the denominator. Now that is a problem. We do not want variables in the denominator, which you notice you have in these two terms. You've got x in the denominators. So to remove the variables from the denominator, all you do is you take the variable to the top. It's going to go next to the 1, and the sign of its exponent changes. So x to the power 6 goes in the numerator next to the 1, and it now becomes 1x to the power negative 6. To fix the second term, we're going to do the same thing. X squared goes in the numerator next to the 8, and its exponent now becomes negative. Now, your last term is fine because the variable is in the numerator. So that will stay as is. So we've gotten rid of the brackets. We don't have any surds. All of our variables are now in the numerators. We are now ready to differentiate. When we differentiate, we will write down the left-hand side as p prime x. So remember the rule. You take the exponent, multiply with the coefficient. Here, negative 6 times 1 is negative 6. And you minus 1 from the exponent. So negative 6 minus 1 becomes negative 7. Let's work on the next term. Negative 2 times positive 8 is negative 16. And we minus 1 from the exponent. Now we're on the third term. exponent times coefficient, so 2 times positive 16 is positive 32, and you minus 1 from the exponent, we now have x to the power 1. So we have now differentiated, and we've also used the correct notation because we replaced p of x with p prime x. So the last step is to make sure that you have positive exponents in your answer. Now we've got two terms, which is a problem here. These two terms have negative exponents. So to get rid of those negative exponents, what we do is we move those variables to the denominator. So only the variable moves. So in the numerator, you're going to have negative 6, and in the denominator, x to the power 7. In the next term, in the numerator, we're going to have negative 16, and in the denominator, x to the power positive 3. So notice how the coefficient remains in the numerator, but only the variable moves to the denominator. And now your last term is fine because that exponent is positive, so that will remain as 32x. You don't need to show the 1 as the exponent. So we have gotten rid of the brackets. We saw that we had variables in the denominator. We moved them to the top. The minute you are done with your 3 steps, BSV, you can then go on to differentiating, which we did. We used the correct notation. And lastly, we made sure that the final answer has positive exponents only. So we are done.